Hey, welcome to State of Tech. My name's Jared, and I'm here with the Note 8 from Samsung, and here are my top 5 reasons why you shouldn't buy the Note 8. So the Note 8 is a pretty decent phone. Like, I've enjoyed my days with it so far. I got it in last week, got to spend some time with it this weekend, took a lot of pictures with it, have really gotten to know this device over the last several days, and being that I was using an S8 Plus for, a few months prior, I've really gotten to know that phone, and there aren't, a ton of differences there. So let's talk about the 5 reasons why you probably wouldn't want to get this phone. Number 1 is the price. Obviously, the price is pretty high. Is it high in comparison to other phones? Yes and no. I mean, if you're going to compare the Note 8 to the flagship iPhone, maybe the iPhone 7 Plus, maxed out, they're going to be about the same price. Maybe the iPhone's even a little bit more. And with new iPhone announcements coming tomorrow, as the time that I'm recording this, and you're probably already knowing these things after having watched it, the price, is still a thing to consider. You have a lot of phones that are well under $900, and a lot of great phones at that. Prices have already started to come down on the S8 and S8 Plus, so you even have those things to consider. So it is an expensive phone. Is there enough value in the Note 8 to justify that price? It really comes down to what's important to you, and that's what we're going to talk about in the remaining 4 items here. So weight is an issue with this phone. It is quite a bit heavier than the S8 Plus, or even an iPhone of the equivalent size. We have the S Pen that's in there. We've got the dual cameras. We've got, a decent sized battery. So the phone is a little bit heavier. It's nowhere near as heavy as some of the older versions of the Note, but it is still heavier than other phones that are cheaper and about the same size. So next would be the battery. Now, the Note 7, I feel like the Note 7 is going to go down in history as one of the best phones ever, and probably it's because that phone was taken away from us. That phone had a pretty decent sized battery in it, but when you consider the fact that the S8 Plus, which is cheaper, has a bigger battery in it than the Note 8, you have to really consider like what's important to you. So when it comes to battery size, if battery longevity is important, it's likely that you're probably going to get a longer battery life out of the S8 Plus. Now, sure, the S8 Plus has Android 7.0, and the Note 8 has Android 7.1, which has some better optimizations in there, and so one can argue that the battery is not really an issue. But the S8 Plus is bound to get Android 7.1 relatively soon, and who knows, maybe if the stars align in a few more months, we'll get Android O for our phones as well, which will bring further optimizations. But who knows? Right now, all we have is the specs and the information that's at hand, and the Note 8 has a smaller battery than comparable phones, and definitely smaller battery than other phones that are in its price point. So size is an issue as well. It's a big phone. We haven't seen really many phones this large in a while. People have been these companies have been making kind of decent sized phones, not anything really large, and even the Note 7 wasn't necessarily this large. So we have to really take into consideration, do we want a phone that's that big? A big phone in your pocket becomes kind of an issue to carry around, especially if you put a case on the phone, which makes it even larger. It just becomes a large piece of equipment to carry around. And yes, it has the S Pen, and it's a writing surface as well. But depending on what you're going to use it for, if you're not necessarily going to be using the S Pen all the time, if you're not necessarily going to really care about the dual cameras and stuff like that, it is quite a large phone considering all of those additional things that might not be important to you. So consider the size of your phone when you decide to purchase a phone. This phone is quite big. Yes, there are phones that are around the same size as this phone, but there are also phones that are smaller that pack just as much of a punch as the Note 8 does. So consider size when you're thinking about purchasing this phone. The display, Samsung obviously is one of the leaders in the display industry, not only with phones, but a variety of other devices as well. And the display on the Note 8 is pretty amazing. But you're getting basically the exact same display, just a smidge smaller on the S8 Plus. And one could say that, there are other phone manufacturers out there that are doing some pretty decent things with displays as well. So with the Note 8, the display is nice. It is really nice, but you can also get the same, pretty much the same exact display in a phone that's several $100s cheaper, and that's definitely something to consider. So in thinking about these 5 things as reasons not to buy the Note 8, you really need to look at 5 reasons why to buy the Note 8. And that's another video that we did where we talked about specific features of the Note 8 that other phones obviously don't have. And so you might want to check out that video as well. It's good to know things on both sides of the fence. I feel like the reasons that you wouldn't purchase the phone come down to size, aesthetics, and price, whereas reasons that you'd buy the phone come down to additional features. And so you really should probably check out both of those videos as well, just to get a good idea on whether or not it's a good purchase, because it is an expensive phone. It's quite an investment compared to what you can get in cheaper phones these days. So definitely check out the other video. It's linked down below, and there's a card up above for you to click. If you want to check out the Note 8 on Amazon, we've got links for you down below as well. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more stuff from us in the future, click on that subscribe button so you can get notified when we put out new videos. Thanks so much, and we hope to see you back soon.